Alright dudes, we are back with a little rebuild or a little upgrade to the GT, maybe downgrade for some people. But what I'm going to do is I'm basically taking off these forks, and the reason for that is the ride height is a little low for me. I think GTs are pretty notorious for having a low standover height and a low head tube height, so I'm going to raise that up a bit. And I've got these RockShox forks that I got a while back, planned for this, matching the blue. I thought would be pretty cool. Yeah, gonna chuck those on. And then I also got these Velo orange bars, thinking of chucking these on as well, just because to see if it gets a little bit more rise, but I'm not sure, because I think once the fork goes up, this might go up a little bit as well. So we'll see how that goes. You'll probably see it in the thumbnail pic anyway, it finished, but we'll see how I go in real time. And you can see I upgraded the seat here, little GT seat from last time, pretty cool, matching GT. Here, drivetrain, missing a cassette on the back. Gonna put some Merit tires on here, some slicks, some fat slicks. I think that'll look pretty cool. Good little cruiser bike, high up front, comfy rear, and fast rolling. And then this chainring I got just running 2x. I might change this up a little bit, maybe to 3, but I don't know. I'll see how I go with this, depending on what the rear cassette is. Yeah, I might change out this XH Sport as well. See what I got. I think the last time the issue with this was, yeah, I didn't have a bottom pull derailleur in this diameter. So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, you can see that the frame's already super nice, because I already cleaned it up in the previous build. Should be pretty good. My whole thing right now is to get all my bikes running, so this is another one that's not running, so try and get another one running. Alright, here's the forks in DCs, and good thing about it, it has a little hanger there for my candy brakes, but I gotta knock this old race out first. So these forks I think are pretty solid. They feel pretty smooth and they go up and down. And I'll probably end up putting the rigid forks on the wheeler with the purple shocks. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of like musical chairs with my bikes at the moment, trying to get them all dialed. But yeah, I want to chuck these forks on. And then yeah, basically just tapping off the headset with my DIY tool, just a flat piece of aluminum that I sharpened. And then you just go on each side slowly, just tap it up, and eventually it should pop off. And then I noticed there was a bit of rust here on the steerer. I had it sitting around for a little while, so I decided to clean that off as well. Why not, while I was at it. And yeah, that was looking pretty clean before I put the new crown race on. And because it was kind of rusty, I was like, I may as well do the whole job and just clean the whole steerer tube. Probably unnecessary, but yeah, probably would have bugged me if that was in the head tube. And I just used WD-40 wire brush and foil. You can see it comes off pretty easy. I think it came off so easy just because it's surface rust, so no issues there. You can see it cleaned up pretty well. And then just same with the other side, just a bit of foil. And there was a little bit of corrosion on the steerer, but nothing too crazy. It'll hold up. But yeah, that's looking good. And after I got the rust off, I just thought to myself, I may as well just clean the whole thing as well. So I decided to clean the boots. They had a bit of dirt on them, spray a little bit of detergent water, wipe those down. And yeah, the forks were looking pretty clean at this point, so I was pretty happy with that. I think they were probably good enough to chuck them on at this point, but I decided to kind of clean the stanchions a little bit. And yeah, I just want to get a few just some silicone grease in there just to make it cycle a bit better. This is kind of like the easy way to service a fork if you don't want to break apart the whole thing. So yeah, a little bit of silicone lube just on the inside. I cleaned off all the old kind of grease and then put new silicone grease in. And then yeah, you just give it a few cycles up and down and try to get the silicone grease in there, and then you just wipe off the excess. The reason why I wipe off the excess is because it attracts dirt or dust, and you don't want that on your stanchions. And I noticed someone stuck these reflective stickers on there, so I tried to peel these off and you can see as I was peeling it off, some of the paint started to come off with it, which was like super annoying because I thought it would be like an easy job. But yeah, you can see here as I struggle, we kept peeling off the paint, so I had to cut it afterwards and then start peeling it the other way. So I thought that was it. I thought that was pretty good. So I'll be able to rip the rest off. But you can see as I was ripping it off, it was just like super sticky, and probably just because they're such old forks, the paint started coming off. So I repeated this process, and you can see kind of how it turned out. It looks pretty rough now. So yeah, there wasn't too much to it. I had to just try to clean it as best I can, and then just keep going and see how the other side is. But yeah, I just soak it with a bit of WD-40 just to get rid of all the residue. And then here you can see this is the other side. Straight away started to lift up paint, and I was like, no, not again. So yeah, just repeated the process. But this side actually ended up being way better, so I was happy about that. But yeah, it wasn't looking good for sure. And then just a bit of WD-40 on both sides, and then get rid of the rest of the residue. So yeah, you think it's a simple job, but sometimes it's not. Alright, here it is. I got as much as I could off. You can see this side's alright. I'm going to try to touch it up with some paint. And this side's a bit more gnarly, but yeah, sometimes like this, you think you just take off a simple sticker, but then you got to do like a full resto job on it. So here I'm just using a little bit of white latex house paint, just exterior house paint. And yeah, just use a brush and just brush it on as much as you can in the hole, and you should be able to kind of like wipe off the excess on the side. Just be careful you don't wipe off the paint inside. And I just went real thin with it. You can make it thinner with water as well to help it set into the gap. But then what you need to do is just repeat the process a few times, because it's not gonna fully make it white. The black is still gonna show through from underneath. So yeah, you gotta just do a few coats. I think I end up doing like 2 or 3 coats on that, and end up looking pretty decent. But yeah, you can see kind of how it looks. And it's not going to look perfect, of course, but just do what you can. Alright, there it is. You can still kind of tell the difference. It like stands out a bit, but I think it's way better than how it was black. But yeah, that's basically it. Just do what you can. Probably, I think it'll dull over time anyway. I think it's funny, like sometimes you think, I just chuck the forks on, it should be pretty simple, but then I don't know, maybe it's just me. When I started taking off the fork, there's all these issues that I wanted to fix. But now the fork's all done, I can take the other rigid fork off. I just had this rigid fork on there just as a placeholder, because I put the black Magic Component forks on my dad bike. But just taking these off, taking the grips off, just using a little bit of water, detergent again, pull those off, pull the levers off. You can see the cable was kind of tight, so I had to undo the cable at both ends, and that allowed me to get the shifters off. But I'm pretty pumped to see how it rides with kind of like a higher front end. I think it should be a bit more comfy. And then here, just taking off the little cap, taking off the stem cap and spacers, taking off the stem. This stem is an old, I think it's a nut called Knight Industries. It's a rip-off of a tough neck or rough neck. And then here, taking off the spacers, taking out the fork, no issues there. Make sure the bottom bearing doesn't pop out. And then here I need to remove this crown race. And then just using the same tool, just tap on each side and it should pop off. And then a little bit of grease to put the crown race on this. And then I just spread it with a bit of paper towel. And then drop that on. Use my crown setting tool from Darren. Shout out Darren. And then what you're meant to do is put a piece of wood on top of the tool and then tap on a piece of wood. You shouldn't slide the tool up and down, which I did in my old videos, because you could distort the crown race. But yeah, that's what someone told me anyway, and I decided to give it a try. Seemed like it worked pretty well, so yeah. Alright, here it is. I don't think it actually raised it that much higher. Only maybe 2 centimeters, maybe 3. Just because I think the head tube is pretty slack, but yeah, we'll see once we tighten it up. Alright, and here's the tires I'm going to chuck on. These are the Merit Swerve Wall tires. You can see they go all the way around. Pretty sick. Here's a little descriptor if you want to pause and read it. But yeah, it comes in 26.5, and I think they look pretty good. Again, kind of like a moto spec tire. But yeah, should make a pretty good kind of cruiser bike. So we'll chuck these on, make sure they fit, and see how it goes. Shout out 15 Distribution. They sent me a box with tons of stuff, and I'm still going through it slowly. But yeah, pretty psyched to try out these tires. Here I'm just taking off the wheels, popping out the wheels, popping off these old placeholder tires. Alright, one thing I like to do when the tire's off is straighten the rim, just because it makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, and then when you chuck it on the stand, you can take off the rim tape and then just use a screwdriver to do up or undo the nipples. Alright, so I basically loosened all the spokes, you can see here. Super soft. Unwound it to one thread each. Also put WD-40 in each of the holes here. Careful not to get on the outside of the rim. And you can see the issue here is that all the tension's out, but still getting a large wobble. So that's basically no good. So what I'm going to do is try to find the highest point here and just bang it down a little bit just to strain it out. Probably need new rims, but try and do the best that we can with these. Obviously try this at your own risk. This is basically a last resort, just try to help it somewhat. Alright, here it is, all tensioned up. This is the closest I could get it. Basically you spent hours doing it, but gotta stop at some point. Yeah, not too shabby. And then here, once the rim was done, chucking the tires on. The tires fit pretty good. I did need to use a lever to get them in, but it all seated all the way around the rim, so I was happy about that. Pumped them up, and yeah, they felt pretty good. Alright, moment of truth. Let's hope they fit. So yeah, just chucked in the dropout, and then there we go. Alright, fits pretty nice. A little bit further on this side. You can see here, quite tight there. So I just got to dish the whole wheel so it goes close to the change side. Alright, let's get the other one on. Here's the clearance on the front. Plenty of room. So yeah, looking pretty sweet, I think. Alright, so we've got the grease guard here, and basically what you do to open it is you just push on it. Just like that, and you can see it's open now. You'll see basically when I pump it in the other hole, the grease will come out the hole. They're meant to be the old grease coming out. So yeah, you can see kind of how it pushes out, just like that. Didn't seem that dirty this side, but yeah, basically you're meant to pump it in and all the old grease comes out, and then that's kind of how it works. And then you just slide it back just to close it up, and that's basically fresh grease in there. So yeah, what's interesting is just on this side for the rehub, and there's no access for the other side. It's just a normal free hub there, free hub body. So yeah, if I want to put grease in there, I gotta take it apart. Here I'm just doing the front one. You can see it's the same deal, just turn it, pump in the grease, and then fresh grease should be in there, and then just flip it around the other side, gave it a clean, and then yeah, just pump it. Sometimes it takes a few pumps before grease comes out, but yeah, you can see this one's a bit more dirty. But yeah, I think last time I put grease in there was probably over a year ago, so good to get some fresh grease in there. And now that was done, spinning pretty sweet. Feels pretty good actually. And then yeah, XT front and back. And then here chucking on the cassette. This is a 8-speed cassette, but I just took off one of the cogs, and it should work all right. Just make sure it fits on there all right. You might have to use a spacer on the inside, but yeah, this one felt pretty good. And then yeah, now time to chuck the wheels back on. I did end up dishing the back one just to be more centered. Alright, so I decided to use this stem. This is off the Kona Stinky, but I think it will look pretty cool, pretty beefy. But I'm going to clean up these bolts. I'm just going to put them in vapor rust, and then the logo I'm going to try to get off. It should rub off. I think it's just on top, the paint. And then these bars, I'm a little bit perplexed on what to do with them, just because it looks like someone painted, I want to say, rust remover on there, but you can see it's pretty rough. Maybe I'll give it a light sand and T-cut, and that might help it. But yeah, I thought about like stripping the whole bar, but I think black might actually look a bit better on this bike. Alright, you can see the state of my Evapor Rust. I think basically I just kept it outside, but I think some of the water must have evaporated, but it's like super black. And then here, yeah, just using a bit of T-cut over the top. Really, there's not much you can do at this point without stripping it and sanding it back, but I'm just hoping this helps a little bit. And yeah, I think it did. It did help a tiny bit. I think it looks a bit better. Probably looks better in real life too. And then here, taking off the logo, I got this from Kmart, just gel remover, and it has like a acetone unit. Some of the other products right next to it is in the same bottle, doesn't have acetone, so you might want to make sure you get one that does. That's the stuff that kind of removes it. And you basically just put it on a paper towel and you can rub it off. Most of like 9% of it rubs off real easy, but then the very last 10% took a while for some reason. And then here, just taking the bolts out of the Vapor Rust, gave them a little bit of clean and soaked them in WD-40 to stop them from flash rusting. And then they were ready to go. Now chucking the stem on and the stem cap. The steerer is fine because it will kind of lock in and the bolt will be under the steerer if anyone's wondering if the steerer is too short. It's not, yeah, it'll be good. And then here, just putting the bars on, just you can kind of set your tilt right, make sure it's centered. And then do up the bolts in kind of like a star pattern with an even gap on both sides. And yeah, I think that was looking pretty good, pretty happy with that. And then you can hop over the bike and make sure it's lined up with the wheel, nice and straight. And then here, chucking the levers on. I was thinking I might need to replace the cables because the shifters were a little bit higher away, but it turned out they were all right. Alright, you can see that I put on these levers, but the issue is it's hitting right here, so I can only move them so far. I could tilt them like up like that, but I think it'd be not as comfortable on the wrist, so I'm gonna have to run slightly shorter grips. Luckily, I already had some pre-cut grips from my old bike, so we'll chuck these on. Yeah, it'd be cool if the bars were slightly longer in the grip area, but yeah, I'm sure they probably designed it this way to fit with certain things. But yeah, for all the older stuff where it's integrated with the lever, it'd probably be a bit better if it was like 20 mil longer. But yeah, still pretty cool either way. And here, putting the cabling in, just putting the brake cable in, putting in the gear cable in, make sure you turn the handlebar side to side to make sure you're not getting the cable too tight. And then here, just putting on the front brake. With the front brake, because I changed the type of hanger style, I need to cut a new piece of cable housing. The cable was long enough, but the cable housing was too short because I think, yeah, now the bars are higher, it didn't reach. So I ended up cutting a new piece of housing there. You can see this is a new piece. and yeah, you can just pop it in. Yeah, lucky for me, I have a roll of it, so I can just cut whatever. But yeah, if you're doing a bike, you might need to purchase just a single cable. And then here the front was clearing now, so that was pretty good, pretty sweet. Things coming together. And then as I was pushing on the front, I realized it was a bit soft for what I want, so I wound it all the way in, and then it was kind of too tight, so I decided to back it off 5 turns, and that was basically perfect for me. Basically it's just for rolling over speed bumps, little stuff like that. It just takes the edge off. I think it's going to be sweet. And then here, putting on the rear Mac cable back in, just using a little wrench for this steel XT. It's not an Allen key. And then for the back brakes, same thing, little wrench. I think maybe the older style stuff uses more kind of like a hex bolts. Alright, so I found this XT, just a newer model, but I'm pretty sure this is bottom pull, because you can put the cable through here, through this little gap, and it comes down. And I'm just going to replace this. Yeah, we'll chuck this on and see if it works. Yeah, there's probably no reason to replace this other than it's XT, because this was the other one was a road one, and this bike is basically all XT except for the cranks, which is Dior LX. So yeah, I decided to put this one in, and this front mech is 3x. So at this point, because I had to take off the chain to put this on, I decided to make it 3x again and chuck this old Biopace chainring. It's a 44 chainring, so it'll be 44, 38, and probably 24, I think. So it should give me a pretty wide cruisy range. I think with the slick tires, having the big chainring again will help if I want to go really fast. But yeah, maybe just for like going fast downhills. And then here, I tried to put the chainring on and with it installed, with the cranks installed, but it ended up being real hard. So I was like, screw it, I'll just take the cranks off and it'll make it way easier. So yeah, just unscrewed that and it popped off. Yeah, I knew I wouldn't have any issues taking it off because I installed it with grease. And then here, just putting the new chainring on. This always takes longer than you think as well. I don't know, for some reason, I guess it's just fiddly. But yeah, after that is put on, I thought that was looking pretty cool too. Looks kind of cool, I think, with the 2 black and 1 silver ring. Yeah, it looks a little bit different. Nice and fresh. And then here, chucking the cranks back on, a little bit of grease, just spread it around. Doesn't have to be too much, just a thin layer. And this is the copper grease from Boot Bike. Shout out Boot Bike. And then, yeah, just make sure it aligns with the other crank and then tighten it. This crank tool is actually from Boot Bike too. Works pretty well. Alright, that's on. BB spinning good. I think BB I got new from last time, so haven't put too many KMs on that yet. Still going good. Make sure the front mech clears the teeth, and yeah, I ended up just adjusting everything and making sure it fit. You can see it might be a bit hard to hear because it's of the wind, but everything goes up and down. And then here the front mech goes up and down as well. You just got to play with the limit screws basically if you're having trouble, but yeah, should be pretty straightforward. And yeah, the bike was basically almost done at this point, I think. I was pretty happy with it. Alright, one last thing. Gonna chuck on these merit pedals. I've ran these pedals on my wheeler bike and they're pretty solid, pretty nice, kind of like light pedal. Just no fuss pedal. I think it's pretty good, pretty grippy too. And I found these end caps, just so I put these on the cranks as well to finish it off. And yeah, took it for a ride. Alright, yeah, the bike feels sick, I think. It's real super smooth. Tires are actually really fun when you go around corners and stuff, or like lean over to the side. It has like 0 rolling resistance, so it feels really quick compared to knobs, and it feels like stable and grippy at the same time, which is pretty cool. And then the high bars felt good, felt like a little bit more cruisy. My back wasn't so far over, but I wasn't too upright either. And then the shocks on the front also felt good, just to take all the bumps. I think the setting is pretty decent as what it is, but I'll ride it more and see how it goes. I didn't really do too much of a ride video for this one, but I'll probably make that a separate video. And yeah, overall I'm pretty stoked with it. I think it looks pretty cool overall. I think the bike came out pretty sweet, kind of like a speed bike or something, or a super bike, whatever you call it, supermoto. And yeah, I think that's basically it. Shout out 15 Distribution for the parts, and hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.